What's up, everybody? This is hashtag homeless day 8, and I'm a wreck today. I'm not gonna lie. I've been using Strava, the cycling and hiking and adventure tracking app, to count how many miles I've been walking. And since I became homeless, I've walked 60 miles, most of which carrying a pretty large, heavy bag, be it the 60-pound rucksack that I left with or the over-the-shoulder laptop bag that weighs quite a bit when it's all loaded up for the day. So today is the first day that I don't have to walk 10 miles, at least so far I don't. It is Memorial Day weekend, so between now and Tuesday, I really don't have any obligations. Nobody's doing job interviews on Memorial Day weekend, and, I think I'm just going to let my body recover and just go with the flow. So yeah, I'm on the craziest job hunt of my life. And so we'll talk about that. We'll talk about job hunting. And I want to talk about how Jesus provides. God always talks about in the Bible that he will not give you more than you can endure, and he will always provide what you need if you're seeking him. And I've got 3 examples to share with you. I don't care if this goes past 10 minutes, the 10-minute YouTube attention span. I uploaded yesterday's 10-minute video to TikTok, and it got all kinds of views because it was short enough. A TikTok attention span's like 30 seconds of, my best friend said, why don't you look up on Google how to get more followers on TikTok? And, Google told me, well, grow a pair of nice boobies, get a big round ass, and make duck faces into the camera all day going like this for 30 seconds at a time, and you'll have 1 million followers by the end of the week. So I'm not doing that. So, YouTube, that's where it's at. Rumble, I'm on Rumble now. I forgot all about Rumble, so I started uploading some stuff to that platform. So, because when you get kicked off of YouTube, Rumble is where you end up going. So if I disappear from YouTube because I said the wrong thing, or the censorship bot kicks me off, whatever the case may be, you can find me on Rumble, you can find me on TikTok. And I'm going to tell you before I forget, you can look at my photography. I'm not doing no digital chicken bucket sitting on the sidewalk looking for a handout, some GoFundMe or Patreon or any of that stuff. If you want to support this channel, go check out my photography at litgood.com. I'm going to put up an Etsy store with 10 of the best prints that I can pull from my collection that I think would have a general, wide appeal to the widest range of audiences. And I'm just going to put up a simple store. Photographic prints in common sizes that you can get frames for and frame it and hang it yourself. And I might even add the option to buy a very high-end metallic print, like a wall-size metallic print that comes ready to hang, but might cost a few $100, $300-400. As far as the photographic prints go, I'm thinking they'll be about $25-30 starting out and go up from there depending on the size of the print. So litgood.com is the website. And right now, if you see a photo that you'd like a print of, just scroll down to the bottom of the homepage and find the contact me form and reach out. I do have a Square account. I do have a PayPal account. I do work with a photo lab that I can have the print sent directly to you without having to do anything other than send the file to the lab. It's very fast. It's very high quality. So, we're 5 minutes into this video, and I'm just going to leave it there. Now, the job hunt. Man, this is the kicker. I've got the resume of death. I'm a leper. I'm an employment leper. Just like Judea, a leper walking around Judea. Everybody's screaming at me, get away, get away. Pulling their knives out when I come close, telling me, don't breathe the air that guy breathes. You don't want to get what he has. I am a employment leper. So I have my resume is the kiss of death right off the bat. I have a history of making six figures for the last 9 years in high profile software jobs. and my career spans 25 years working in design, digital design and software design, since the mid 1990s. And here I'm still at it. But when you have a resume like that and you're going after these minimum wage restaurant, factory, retail jobs, they look at you like, why is this guy, where did this guy make a wrong turn to end up looking for a job here? That's the number one question. And companies don't want to hire someone who's overqualified like that, because they know that if I were to get a job offer making six figures for some other software company, that I'm out. I mean, who would keep a restaurant job as a line cook, busting your balls for 40, 50 hours a week on your feet, coming home so exhausted you can barely keep your eyes open, when you can make six figures sitting at home at a desk doing design work all day? I mean, it's a no-brainer. So that works against me. Number two, my last job was 4 months because I was arrested after the fourth month. Needless to say, I got a $14,000 a year raise 3 months into this job. Unexpectedly, I had no idea it was coming. There's nothing I can do about the sirens in this obnoxious town. There's absolutely no place in this entire town where you can sit and have a quiet space to talk. It's not going to happen. So getting back to the job, 4 months at my last job. Why did you only stay for 4 months? Well, how do I dance around this one? I can't. I can't, I can bring up the fact that I got a huge raise after 3 months and they loved working with me, but, so 4 months at the job, then you went to federal prison for 20 months. Oh, gee. Now the hiring manager's sitting here looking at me like, so can you give me any other reasons why I should not hire you today? What else do you got up your sleeve? And, and that's just what it's going to be. So yeah, 25-year successful career on the resume. Now I'm looking for minimum wage jobs. 4 months at my last job. Oh yeah, and the other reason, it's, August of 22, now it's May of 2024, and I haven't had a job since August of 2022. So now I'm closing in on 2 years of being unemployed. You can add that to the mix of why you should not hire me. There's probably 6 more things I can't even think of right now. And then when it comes to a professional job, once again, when you're looking for a professional job, people who are unemployed are lepers. You have a much better chance of getting a job if you already have a job. It's social proof. It's like when women see a man walking around with a wedding ring on his finger, they fall all over him. I've had many married guy friends tell me that as soon as they put that ring on the finger, every time they go out, they're getting hit on by women all the time. They weren't getting any play when they were single, but they have that ring on their finger now. Oh, some other woman wants him, so he's a good catch. I'm going to try and take him. So that's the same concept when it comes to looking for a job. If you already have a job, you're much more likely to get play than if you don't have a job. And that's just statistically speaking. That is not a set in stone rule. I've been unemployed and found new jobs before. But when you add to the fact that I've been unemployed for almost 2 years, I went to federal prison, you can type my name into Google and get 500 pages of results on my name of what happened that night. And you can go to YouTube, type in my name, and get hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of videos. I still cannot. I've read some of it. I've watched some of it. but I just can't bring myself to even look at it myself and keep track of it all because it's so ridiculous. I remember sitting in prison after the first 3 or 4 days where they had me in basically a what's called a turtle suit in a padded room with no toilet, no bed, nothing, just sleeping on a bare floor. Because they were basically, the FBI was torturing me for about 4 or 5 days until I was late to my arraignment because they wouldn't take me to the arraignment, and the judge threatened to put somebody in contempt of court if they didn't bring me in. And then I was allowed to be in a cell with a bed at that point. So yeah, all of this, unemployable. Nobody gives them a job. Like, you're a homeless piece of crap. You're a turd. Just go find a bridge to live under and get it over with. Like, that's what I'm looking at right now. But like I said, God will provide. I don't know how. He has been providing for me since the day I was thrown out to the streets in ways that are subtle in some cases, and in some cases they're not so subtle. I'm trying to trust that he will provide and take care of this. I'm trying to trust that there will be an opportunity to show that, hey, I'm good at what I do. I've been doing it for 25 years. I have a solid track record minus one dumb mistake. Somebody's got to give me a chance at some point. It's another analogy. It's like going to the bar. You got to get slapped in the face by 50 or 60 different women. You've got to be willing to do that, because if woman number 61 goes home with you that night, then you're a winner. Who cares? Who cares about the 60 that slapped you in the face if you got what you went out to get that night? So, I'm not telling you all to go out and pick up a whore tonight and, get yourself involved with all the problems that's going to bring into your life. But I'm just making an analogy. It's a numbers game. You just have to keep going at it. You have to keep pushing those resumes out, pushing those applications out, going on the interviews, doing whatever you have to do, and just don't give up. That is a message God has been telling me for quite a while about not giving up. So I do have 3 examples of how Jesus provides. 2 of these examples are a period of time of about 6 years where I worked for myself. I was basically a freelance web designer, video producer. I did other motion graphics projects and even some, design work like logo design and, print materials and things like that. But most of my work was in the digital world. Anything that you would see on a screen is what I would design. And with that, working for myself, I never knew when I was going to get paid. For the whole 6 years, there was no consistency. I could never generate a real rhythm. It was feast or famine. A lot of freelancers, a lot of people who do what I do for a living back then, they talk about the feast-famine cycle. You're either really busy or you're so busy you can't even go to the bathroom without a client getting mad at you. Or you have absolutely nothing to do to the point where you could disappear for a month and no one would notice you're gone. So there was one time that I was so broke, I had 37 cents in my checking account. And I had about 75 cents in my business checking account at the same bank. And there was a monthly bank fee of about 50 cents that was going to hit my personal checking account. And so I had to log into the bank and transfer 60 cents from my business account to my personal account, because had that fee come through, my account would have gone negative. Then they would have charged me $35. Then they would have started charging me $35 every day that account was a negative. And by the time I got another check in my hand from a client to deposit, I would owe the bank, up to $300, and they'd be threatening to shut off my accounts. So that was how broke I was. And, I still had food on the table. I still had gas in the tank. I still had what I needed, and I'm pretty sure that by the end of that week, I had a pretty substantial paycheck come in the mailbox. That was just how life was. And sometimes these paychecks that I would get for these jobs, that's like 3 months worth of income in one shot. So I would be good for the next 2 to 3 months. And if things went well, there would be some sort of a rhythm. I would never be so broke that I'm transferring 60 cents from one account to the other. One specific time, I had just moved into a new place, and the moving expenses ate my entire bank account alive. I had well over enough money to pay for 3 months rent when on the day I got the keys. But there was just one expense after the next over the next month, and before I knew it, my account was drained, empty. I didn't have enough to even offer, like if I had gone to the landlord on the first of the month with the money that I have, she probably would have started the eviction process, and I'm going to get into that in a second. So on the first of the month, the first time that rent is due to this landlord after I've moved in the place. So there's an impression that I'm making here. The very first time that rent is due. It's the first of the month, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. I have no idea how I'm going to do this. There's money on the way. I don't know when it's coming. Who knows? I would say at about 10:30 in the morning, I get a phone call from a friend who I have not talked to in probably 2+ years. She asks me out of the blue, "Hey, I just wanted to give you a call because I'm working on this project and I'm really behind on it. And there's a whole piece of this project that I just don't have the capability to do myself. But I know this is what you do every day. And I just wanted to call and ask if you would be willing to help me. And if you can help me, I can show up at your house today with a check for $5,000 as a retainer to, for your commitment to help me get through this project. I can pay you today. So give me a call and let me know what you think, and we'll talk from there." And I'm sitting there like, whoa, Jesus, what are you doing? So I made the phone call. I said, well, looking at my schedule, I think I can fit you in. Why don't you come on over and we'll talk? And by 11:45, I had the check in my hand, $5,000 that just showed up out of nowhere. And so I went to the bank. On my way to the bank to deposit this check into the account, I get a phone call. It's the landlord. It's afternoon. The landlord's angry, and she's just like, "Look, dude, it's the first of the month, and I haven't heard from you, and I still don't have your rent payment, so you need to call me right away and let me know what's going on. Because, I'm not playing this game." And I'm just like, whoa, it's the first of the month. And she's calling me like that, snapping at me, throwing a tirade because she still doesn't have the rent at noon on the first of the month. And now I'm thinking, holy moly, if I had called her earlier that day to explain my situation, that I'm going to need a week or two to pay the rent, just imagine how that conversation would have went. That would not have gone well at all. But instead, I called her right back and I said, "Oh, hey, how you doing? I'm out doing my errands today, and I planned on stopping by your business and dropping off that check." And she's like, "Oh, okay, honey. Thanks for letting me know. How's everything at the apartment?" And, yada, yada, yada. And she's all super friendly at that point. And sure enough, I deposited that check. I went over to the auto detailing shop that she owned, dropped off the rent check, hoped that everything would clear and that there would be I don't like kiting a check, but I was hoping that the funds would be available at my bank before she puts the money. But it all worked out. Rent got paid. Everything was fine. All because the Lord provides. And story number 3, part of what led to me getting arrested was in December of 2021, after working remotely for a company since August of 2019, way before the COVID nonsense started. This company gave me an ultimatum. They said, you either take that COVID vaccine or you're getting fired 2 weeks before Christmas. So I was kicked to the curb for not taking the COVID vaccine. And I was bitter and angry. You have no idea how, well, you do have an idea of how angry I was if you went and looked up my name on Google and saw what happened as a result. But that's down the road. I just had this bitterness and anger over the state of affairs in this broken third world cesspool of a country that, you can still see it. It's coming out. I don't love America. I think this place is a dump. It's falling apart. This country's done. They steal elections now. You can lose your job for not taking an experimental shot. But whatever, we got to get back to the point. So I lost my job. They would not give me unemployment. And I had good raving reviews. I was one of their best employees. Like, they loved me at this job. I never had a black mark on my record. I had nothing but success, promotions, raises. There was one time I almost quit and they offered me a $15,000 a year raise to stay. And I said, okay, I'll stay. So that's the kind of relationship I had. And then they just threw me to the curb for not taking a shot. And I'm going to be bitter about that for the rest of my life. To an extent. I mean, we'll move on. I'll be successful again someday. And all these people can look at my middle finger as I'm walking off into the sunset. But for now, we just got to get back on our feet. So the third story, 4 months has gone by and money is running out. I didn't have enough to ride this unemployment train, the COVID shot, that whole thing. I knew it was coming. I could just sense it. So I put away a little bit of money, but I was living off credit cards, and I was up to about $10,000 in credit card debt, just putting bills on credit cards, then making the minimum payments. And I'm just sinking and sinking and sinking. So I wake up one day and I say to somebody, 7 a.m, I had this Mini Cooper that had been sitting in my driveway. I owned it. It was a used car. It was a 2003 Mini Cooper that was almost 20 years old. And it was a nice little car to zip back and forth to the city of Pittsburgh in. But I didn't really need this car anymore. And so I finally just woke up one day and I said, I'm going to take the Mini Cooper down to the car wash, detail it, take some pictures, get my stuff out of it. I'm going to put it on Craigslist. I'm going to start trying to sell that car. That was at 7 a.m. on a Monday morning or Tuesday morning. And so 9 o'clock in the morning, I'm just getting my coffee and I'm just getting my day going. There's a knock at the door. I go to the door. It's the guy who mows my yard all summer, but it's still March, end of March. And there's still snow on the ground. I'm going to have to dig the car out from a snowbank just to get to the car wash. And I thought he was he's just here to line up jobs. He's just here to make sure that I'm going to be his customer for the summer. And he's just, putting his ducks in a row, etc. And first thing that comes out of his mouth when I open the door, he's like, hey, I'm just in the neighborhood, and I just wanted to stop by to see if you wanted to sell that Mini Cooper you got sitting out there. No, really? So I kind of played the game of, well, I really like that car, and, well, you know how much I like that car, so, this is going to be a tough, and I played that game with him, and I ended up selling the car. And I had $4,000 cash in my hand on Wednesday morning. And the car was gone by the end of the day, Wednesday. So waking up Tuesday morning, because I needed money. I was not going to be able to make next month's rent payment. I was not going to be able to make it another month, even juggling credit cards. I decided, I think it's time to sell the Mini Cooper. And lo and behold, God sold the Mini Cooper for me. He brought the customer to my house 2 hours later before I'd even done any work other than say I was going to sell the car. And the cash, $4,000 in cash, was in my hand Wednesday morning. And then I got a new job that fell out of the sky like 2 weeks after that, and everything just worked out. And before I knew it, I actually had an abundance of funds. And then then summer went by and I ended up in prison. So, but God does provide. And those are 3 solid examples of how he does so. And so those are the types of stories that I cling to and remember when I'm going through something like I'm going through today and feeling as low, tired, and exhausted and just burned out as I am today. That God is there. He will provide. Trust him. Even when you're having a hard time, just trust him. Trust him. So I'm telling the whole world, trust God. He will come through. I don't know how or when, but one of these days I'm going to get to tell you how. And with that, we're at 26 minutes. That means 20 of you are going to watch it instead of 500 because of your short attention spans. But peace.